Today we'll look at the Kimber Micro 9mm semi-automatic pistol. The Kimber Micro 9 is often viewed as a miniature 1911, but is it really? In this video we'll explore that question and other aspects of this very popular Mini 9. Okay, so I came across this used Micro 9 at a gun store the other day. As you may know, I'm a big fan of the Kimber Micro 380. And I'm not the only one. In fact, the video I made on the Kimber Micro 380 a while back is the most viewed video I've made. So I know it's popular with many people. Anyhow, years ago when I bought my Micro 380, which was used, there was also a used Micro 9 at a great price at the same store, but it looked pretty worn. I passed on the 9 and went with the 380, and I'm glad I did. For concealed carry, the 380 is great. But I always thought it would have been interesting to have the Micro 9 as well if I ever find a good one at a good used price. Well, here it is. No scratches, very little wear, and the price was right. Only problem was there was nothing else that came with it. No box, no carrying case, no manual, no extra mag. But what the heck? Let's make sure this gun is cleared first. Kimber Firearms is a young company with its beginnings in the state of Oregon back in 1979. Now located in Yonkers, New York, Kimber is known for producing high-end, prestigious firearms with good quality. The Kimber Micro 380 was first produced in 2013, and Kimber came out with the Micro 9 version in 2015. The Micro 9 is available in an assortment of variations. In fact, the Kimber website shows 15 different frame and grips available with the Micro 9. The barrels are machined from stainless steel and the frames are shaped from aluminum. This Micro 9 is the stainless version, which has the stainless slide and the classic Kimber rosewood grips. Kimber states that the Micro is in many respects a miniature 1911, and that among the most important Micro 9 design advantages is a single action trigger with the kind of short, smooth pull that ensures accuracy. The thumb safety, slide release, magazine release are pure 1911 as well. The ejection port is lower and flared for better ejection. Sights are steel and dovetail mounted. The Micro 9 comes with an extended 7-round magazine. Normally, at this time I'd be covering packaging, but as I mentioned earlier, this was a used gun and it didn't have the usual carrying case, etc., so I can't show any of that. However, I did buy a couple of extra magazines. I got the extended 8-round magazine, but I also picked up a 6-round flush magazine just in case I ever wanted to pocket carry this gun. The Kimber Micro 9 is basically considered a pocket pistol, but it's also a great option for those with smaller hands. Personally, I think it's a little too big for comfortable pocket carry. But on the other hand, I have a friend who has pocket carried a Kimber Micro 9 for years. So that's a personal question, obviously. The slide is stainless steel with a satin finish. The barrel is stainless steel and it's 3.15 inches in length. The frame is aluminum. The sights are steel dovetail, driftable, white 3 dots with a sight radius of about 4.3 inches. Overall height is 4.7 inches. Overall length is 6.1 inches. And the width is 1.06 inches. The weight of the empty gun with an empty magazine is only 15.6 ounces, so it's fairly light. Magazine capacity is 7+1. That's the magazine that the gun comes with, but as I already showed, you can get 6 and 8 round mags as well. The recoil spring is rated at 11.5 pounds. There's a full-length guide rod. Grips are rosewood. Backstrap is textured, as is the mag release button. The 1911 style safety feels solid and functions naturally and easily. The 1911 style slide release is a little stiff but well placed. The trigger is match grade and solid aluminum. Of course, in 1911 style, the trigger is single action, which means that the gun can only be fired with the hammer back and the safety off. Factory trigger setting is about 7 pounds. With the hammer back, the slide pull is very easy. Comparing the Kimber Micro 9 to the Kimber Micro 380, you can see the difference is fairly substantial actually. This is why I prefer, when we talk about pocket carrying the Micro 380. It's just that much smaller. Of course, compared to the full-size 1911 Kimber, there's a huge difference. As for my range experiences, this gun is quite controllable, especially with the extended magazines. Recoil is not bad for a small 9mm, better than I expected. These Kimber Micros are known for their accuracy. Maintaining a 10-inch spread at 10 yards is no problem. However, I found that I needed the extended magazines for my best performance on the range. My shots with the 6-round flush magazines were the worst, and my shots with the 8-round magazines were the tightest. Ironically, the range owner carries the Micro 9 and he's missing part of the pinky on his gun hand, but has learned to compensate well enough that mag extensions don't seem to matter for him. I've only tried a limited assortment of ammo with this gun so far, but everything seemed to cycle through without problem. I did fail to seat the flush 6 round mag twice on the range, but that was my error. No problem with either of the extended magazines. As for cons, one obvious con is the Micro 9's thumb safety. But if you're used to 1911 format, which I am, it's not that much of a bother. In fact, I actually kind of like it. Of course, another con could be that single action trigger. Again, that's just a personal preference issue as far as I'm concerned. And while the Kimber Micros get called baby 1911s, they technically aren't, since they don't have the barrel bezel or the backstrap safety. But the issue of capacity could be the gun's biggest liability. Even there, most real-world handgun encounters have been shown to be over with less than 3 shots fired. As a 9mm, and you can still be carrying very effective rounds. By the way, the Kimber Micro 9's magazines can be stiff to load, and the top edges can be a bit sharp. I use an Upalula loader to make the job quicker and easier. Disassembly and reassembly is only slightly easier than the full-size 1911, which is to say some people get a little frustrated with aligning things. Also, Kimbers aren't cheap, although there's always sales. Although really not a con, I should also mention that I made the mistake of trying out the Kimber Micro 9 TFX Pro with Hogue wraparound grips. Once I felt those grips, I was spoiled. I mean, I really like the looks of the Rosewood grips, but somehow the standard 1911 style grips on the Micros just don't feel as great. And although I didn't get a chance to fire the gun with those Hogue grips, I've got to think that they'd make a difference. Fortunately, Kimber will sell you those grips for about $30. As for pros, the big advantage of the Kimber Micro 9 is its basic 1911 style construction. Although it's not exactly a 1911, it's pretty close. If you like the 1911, you'll love this gun. The Kimber Micro is very well made. As a metal gun, you can feel that it's a quality piece. Parts are readily available, aftermarket options are plentiful. Kimber is well respected and carries a bit of its own status. I have found this Micro 9 to handle any ammo I've fed it so far. It's very accurate, comfortable to carry, and really quite comfortable to shoot, even with the standard grips. And I think it looks great. The worst part of breakdown and reassembly of the Kimber Micros is dealing with the slide pin. Similar to the 1911s, the slide pin becomes sometimes a challenge in its alignment. I have a few suggestions that you might find makes this job a little bit easier. First thing we're going to do is remove the magazine, and then with the trigger back and the safety off, of course we've already made sure that the gun was cleared. We're going to remove this pin first, and this pin runs through the frame and actually through the barrel. The underside of it has a cam, and this pin is running through that cam. So we're going to bring the slide back, and right here there is a half moon. This little half moon is the main indicator for the alignment issues that we'll be dealing with. We have right here above the slide pin, we have a little area that this half moon needs to line above. So we're going to bring that back to this point right here, and then on the opposite side we're going to push on the pin. I just used a little dowel to do that. That allows us to bring that pin out. Once the pin's out, the slide comes easily off the frame. With the slide off the frame, we can remove the rod and the spring. Be careful about that spring. It is under tension. Okay, it's a full rod. We have, of course, the barrel, and now that's the full disassembly. Reassembly is basically the opposite. And then again, remember that this spring is going to be under a lot of tension. I'm going to work it back in, and I should show you that on this rod we have a sort of a half moon under on the one side of it here. That goes down against the barrel. All right. Sometimes lining that rod up through that hole there on the muzzle becomes a little bit of a challenge, but that's actually what you're trying to accomplish there. With the barrel, rod, and spring returned to the slide, we now can return the slide to the frame. And here, as we work the slide onto the frame, make sure that this little part right here goes inside the bottom of the frame. You sometimes have to push down a little bit. And then the second part to watch out for is this little extension right here. This little unit here is, I think that's the extractor, is popped up, and we need to push that down in order to bring the slide back. With the slide back, we now need to return the pin. To get the pin to line up, we need to make sure that that hole is clear. And if you look at again, this half moon on the slide, we want to line it just above that hole there. So if we bring that back, you can see the hole opens up. Should be able to work the pin right down into it. Don't push it all the way down. We just want to bring it into the barrel cam, and then bring the slide all the way back to that half moon is just above that rear extension, and now we should be able to push that down into the slide area, and there we go. The manufacturer's suggested retail price on the Kimber Micro 9 is $654. I've seen sale prices as low of about $500. I've actually seen used ones for about $425, which would be a really good price. I paid just slightly less than that for this one. Well, you can tell that I really like this little gun. When I bought it, I brought it home and I set it alongside of my Kimber Micro 380 and began to doubt if I really needed another Kimber. Although the Micro 9 would certainly carry more firepower, my usual pocket carry habits ruled out the Micro 9 as just a little bit too heavy and, more important, a little bit too big for my personal comfort. However, when I put the gun inside the waistband holster that I had and placed it at about 4 o'clock, I began to see some possibilities even with the 8-round extended magazine. The weather has just begun to allow me to try out this for a couple of days, and I have to admit that I sort of like it. The Kimber Micro 9 is relatively slim and light for a 9mm. Its operation is smooth and flawless. It's comfortable to shoot, it's reliable, and it's very accurate. You can just tell it's a quality made firearm. It's tight, solid, nicely finished overall, and really, just look at it. I think it's as attractive as can be. And as I said about the Kimber Micro 380, if you're used to a full-size 1911, you're going to love the Kimber Micro 9 as a backup. Any weapon you carry is better than one you left at home. Thanks for watching. Hope you'll be back for my next tabletop review. Until next time, stay safe.